A girl grown in a lab. That's ever worked for... Alright, we'll see. Morgan. So Morgan's a movie directed by Luke Scott, who is Ridley Scott's son. In Morgan, this group of scientists in a lab in the middle of nowhere have created an artificial life form. They created a test tube baby. Accelerated intelligence, accelerated growth. Then something happened. She freaked out, stabbed a lady in the eye. So Kate Mara is from corporate, and she's coming here to see if, hey, maybe this girl is a success, or maybe we just flush her down the toilet. So now you have a movie about an artificial life form that was grown in a test tube in the middle of nowhere in a small confined lab. This is a setting that's going to lead to good decisions and nothing bad happening, right? No, not at all. I feel it. But let's talk about what I liked in this movie. First of all, I liked the girl who plays Morgan. She's the girl from The Witch, and if you've seen The Witch, she was good in there, she's good in here. There's something about her. She has like a vulnerability and a fierceness. Usually someone's either the fierce one or they're the one who cries all the time. But this girl rides the line of both, and you buy the fact that she's both. That gives her depth and relevance. And I usually hate nepotism. I just do, but I love the fact that Ridley Scott made a few phone calls and got Paul Giamatti in this movie. He's doing a psych eval with Morgan. I mean, his character's an idiot, but Paul Giamatti's great in the movie. He's in it briefly, but still. You saw this in the trailer, so I'm gonna count this as not a spoiler. I mean, he goes on and on about how he's so good at his job, and he needs to build rapport and a relationship, a trust relationship between him and the subject. Then about 2 minutes later, he's screaming at Morgan. Now, he could be screaming at her just to get a reaction because that is his job, but he genuinely looked like he was irritated with her and he was screaming at her. Maybe it looked so convincing because Paul Giamatti's just that good of an actor. I don't know. Really, what you have here is kind of a bore fest that's a cliche-ass movie given the premise that it is. Girl in a lab who starts to lose it. You've seen that shit 100 times over. And the saddest thing is this movie doesn't commit to its point. This movie tries to be one of those pseudo-intellectual movies like, it's a mirror to the face of humanity. Is she really any worse than us? Wouldn't we do the same thing in her shoes? The first 50 minutes of this movie is boring as shit and relies on character setup among characters that aren't interesting enough to have character setup, so their character setup bores the shit out of you too. That's a downward spiral right there. You see that? Down the rabbit hole we go. Then when the interesting stuff in the trailer actually does happen, is about a half an hour left into the movie, and at that point it's not as interesting as the movie wanted to be. Now I'm not saying it's the case of the movie is bad because the trailer showed you that it was going to be this exciting movie and then it actually wasn't. That is in the movie and that is a problem. I'm saying this movie is messy by any measurement you want to give it. There was a fight that went down in the movie that you feel it because of the sound. So someone got punched, you felt they got punched. They got kicked, you felt they got kicked. It's just all in the impact of the sound. But it was so choppy at a point, I started counting the edits, like counting the cuts. And if I felt that I had to start counting the cuts, rest assured there were a lot more leading up to that point. But at a point I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got to 25 before 10 seconds. I swear to God. You thought I had a lot of jump cuts? No, you ain't seen nothing yet. And granted, any fight scene is going to have a lot of edits, but when it's hand-to-hand combat that close with that many edits, you can't even tell what's going on. It doesn't give your brain enough time to register what's going on, and in the end, I can't even tell you what happened in that fight. The acting was fine. The premise and potential is great, but it's a movie that rode 2 lines, and it feels like it's the brainchild of someone who was just divided as to how they wanted to do it. Do you go the intellectual route, but then possibly bore half of your target demographic? Or do you make it where this girl gets loose in the lab and she's losing it and she has to be stopped? Really, it doesn't know what it wants to be, so it doesn't actually succeed at either. It's not executed well at all, which is a shame, and I will say, I'm not gonna remember Morgan in T-minus 1 day. Yep, already forgot. Saving grace might be down the road when we find out this movie is actually somehow a Blade Runner prequel. I can see that happening. If it's in there, if there's an Easter egg in this movie, I totally missed it. We'll wait for the Blu-ray special features. All right, guys, so Morgan, have you seen it? What did you think about it? What's your favorite movie about someone who's been artificially created? It's vague enough, who knows? Whatever it is, whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.